It is 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Bigger, roll call, please.
Harrington. Perkins.
Here.
Musgrave.
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
Kinnaman.
Here.
Kyer.
Here.
Delaney.
Here, we have a quorum. I would entertain a motion to excuse Mr. Harrington, who communicated with us in advance that he would be absent this evening.
I'll make the motion. Go ahead, Rick.
Motion by Perkins, support by Kinnaman to excuse Mr. Harrington. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Mr. Harrington is excused. Consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Village Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately immediately after consent agenda approval in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion by Musgrave, support by Brandon to approve the consent agenda as presented. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes.
someone that is presenting for the public hearing is going to be about 15 minutes late. Could we skip it and come back to it?
Certainly.
Thank you.
All right. Public comment. Members of the public may address council once recognized by the chairperson. Comments are limited to a maximum of 4 minutes for items not on the agenda. Council may extend this time by up to an additional 4 minutes by a majority vote. For items on the agenda, comments may be made after council discussion prior to council vote. Prior to addressing council, members of the record shall please state their name and address for the record. Is there anyone for public comment? Mr. Love.
So we're going to have this public hearing, we're talking about drinking the water later.
Yes, that will come when our presenters arrive.
The John Love, 200 North Saginaw. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
This thing kind of hard to talk into. Well, I see we got the new banners up, so that was invigorating to see that at the least. The only problem is they're kind of dumb. It has Holly, and it has Holly with almost like a J in front of it. It's hard to read the word. Michigan. It's obvious we're in Michigan, so they're wasting that time. Then they have green holly leaves on it, but the green leaves don't show up on a green background. So it's kind of tacky town still continues on. And then, of course, we have ads. I remember the good old days when they had banners that were top-notch, but we got to move on. The tree, I'm in this group of tree lovers, and I was really dismayed at what happened because of global warming. We want to have trees because trees remove carbon dioxide. But what we did is we cut down all the trees on the main street and we put up little tacky trees that I don't even know what the cost of this thing is. I tried to find out from the DDA. But we even cut down 2 trees that were on Holly Hotel's property. That's how well planned this is. So I think it's disgraceful that we cut down trees that mediates global warming. That's not the kind of town that we should be proud to be a member of. And then I guess we're going to talk about the water I'll talk more about that when we get to the water situation. The other thing is we have these reports and we have the police and the DPW here, but they don't tell us what's happened in the month. I think it would be appropriate to at least find out how many drunk drivers we took off the road, or what's going on with these different endeavors. So I'd like to see that, those reports included. They used to be in here. So here we are, last meeting after May Day. We'll see all the new operation.
Thank you, Mr. Law. Is there anyone else for public comment? Sir.
My name's Gary Birch. I live on Franklin Street, and I'm here to find out why we can't get our road fixed. I have been complaining about it since probably mid-January, when the last time it was plowed, and I can't seem to get a straight answer of why it won't be fixed. The road is pretty much undrivable. It needs to have, it's a dirt road. It needs to have the holes filled in so they don't get washed out. I understand that just grading it does not work. I'd like to get an answer of why we can't get it fixed.
I'm sure we can have an answer for you at some point if you can bear with us. Was there anything else, sir?
No,
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, was that Franklin?
Franken Street.
Franklin Street.
Okay, thank you.
Off of LeGrand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Point of order, does
Yes.
council need to vote to table the public hearing?
That's a good question. Is there a requirement to table the public hearing, or is that in the ability of the chair?
You can certainly do so, and tabling would be the appropriate motion if that's what you wish to do. Or it would be a motion to approve the agenda as amended, to note that that'll take place at some later point in your meeting.
Is there, I'll put it this way, is there any objection from council to forego a vote to table? I promise we'll come back around to it.
I would think because it is an actual public hearing, it
Mhm.
might be good to do that, and then when we have our vote to open public hearing, we're basically pulling it back onto the table.
Okay. Well, with that then, I'll entertain a motion to table the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kinnaman,
Second.
support by Brandon to table the public hearing. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Kinman,
Yes.
Heyer,
Yes.
Merkin,
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Public comment is tabled. There is no old business. Number one under new business, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-014, adopting a final project planning document for water system improvements and designating an authorized representative. Mr. Walker.
New business items 1 and 2 should follow the public hearing because that is the information that will be presented by Mr. Doug Scott from Road Professional Services. So I spoke with him just prior to the meeting. He was just getting off I-75 High Road, so he should be here momentarily. So if you wanted to take care of new business 3, and then maybe even perhaps the reports, get those out of the way, I think Mr. Scott will be here short and we can start the public hearing once motion by council.
Very good. That begs the question, do we wish to table items 1 and 2 under new business?
I'll
Yes.
make a motion to table items 1 and 2 to follow public hearing.
Support.
Very good. Motion by Brandon, support by Musgrave to table items 1 and 2 under new business to follow the public comment, or the public hearing, excuse me. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 3, under new business. Special event, Holly Farmers Market.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Council. So you have this item in front of you because it was submitted inside of the 60-day timeframe in which we require those votes that you just go on the consent agenda. This is the annual farmers market that occurs every year. It's in Crapo Park. The request is from May the 5th through October the 22nd or 26th. The times are 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so this is run by the same facilitator, Ms. Diane Reagan, who has done an excellent job. The farmers market has enjoyed great success over the last couple of years under her leadership.
Very good. What is the pleasure of council on that item?
Is she asking just for Saturday?
At this time, only Sunday, which is
Excuse me, Sunday.
the normal day.
Yep. Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve the special event application for the Holly Farmers Market.
I will second.
Motion by Musgrave. I think Ms. Kyer had the support there. To approve the special event. Is there any council or discussion desired on this item?
I love it.
I do.
Yeah.
Are they going to come before us at a later time about Tuesdays? Because didn't they do a Tuesday?
I think what they have to do is talk with their vendors again and kind of gauge the interest
Okay.
in their vendors, but I think that certainly is on the table. I think that also was fairly successful.
Okay, just curious.
Very good. Is there any public comment desired on this item? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Reports, Mr. Walker.
So you have in your packet my written council report. In addition, I'll just give you a little progress on the new village office location. So if you've been by there, it's very near completion. We have an install date for our technologies, the telephones and the Comcast, for the internet, not for television. And the alarm systems the week of the 24th of April. Our plan is to have the first budget study session on the 20th still at Carl Ricker, but the 27th, if everything is set up, to have it at the new building. And so this should be, pending everything being set up correctly, the last regular council meeting in this building, and then we'll be in the new location. So things have progressed pretty well on that. On another front, the proposed monument that is proposed at the site, we've had one meeting with the committee that was established. That committee consists of members from the VFW, the American Legion, the Veterans Resource Center, the Parks Commission, the police chief, the fire chief, and myself. And so we've had one meeting. We have another meeting scheduled on the 11th this week. At this time, we're still talking about the scope of the project and parameters. So there is nothing has been set in stone as far as what it's going to look like, consist of, or any future fundraising endeavors. So we'll keep you informed with those as we progress. So,
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Mr. Walker, it's a two-part question. Has NACFA been invited to the table, and is it appropriate to invite NACFA to the table?
well, I think it could be appropriate to invite Matt, but we didn't because of the size of the committee. I mean, it's already a pretty sizable committee, and there is representation with Chief Watson, and Chief Watson and NACFA have an excellent relationship. So I'm sure they're aware of what's going on. But we've spoken in other meetings that certainly NACFA is welcome to participate in whatever scope the tribute to monument ends up being.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one question too? Because it did come up to me from someone that serves on our Parks Board that will be on that board, that the meetings are at like 1 o'clock on a Thursday. Is there any way for those who work?
I'm sure
Could we
that
push those
that'll be a
meetings?
discussion that will occur at this week's meeting,
Okay.
but this next meeting was set, obviously after the first one. There was no Parks Commission members there yet.
Right.
Because they had not had a meeting.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gildner, anything to add?
I just wanted to comment in follow-up of our session last month on Mattson and that litigation. I've had a number of conversations with Insurance Council and scheduled to have a telephone conference with Insurance Council tomorrow to learn more about where things stand. That's as much as I know at this point. We'll hopefully know more tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bigger, anything to add to your written report?
No, nothing to add to my written report this month. Thank you.
Very good. Is there anything from staff? Anything to add, Chief or Mr. Clausen?
I can quickly add the number of drunk drivers. We average more than one a week. And that was the question asked. And those figures are rolled into my monthly report for council, but they're out there and so are our staff.
Great. Do we just out of curiosity, do we still maintain a police blotter on the Facebook page?
If and when I can get to it, yes.
Sure.
It's been kind of random with a lot on the plate, but yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
One additional thing, it's unfortunate that Mr. Burke had to leave, but Mr. Clausen and I actually spoke about the grading of our dirt roads in the village, and it's just simply been too wet. They are scheduled to be graded, and just as soon as weather permits, they will be graded, and where appropriate, material will be added to them to firm them up.
Yeah, I also wish that
There he is.
Mr. Birch had stayed to hear that answer in the appropriate place. Might I respectfully request that staff communicate just that with him? Thank you very much. Boards and commission. Oh, Nick, did you have anything for us? Okay. Boards and commission updates and council comments. Ms. Kyer.
Sure. I just want to clarify, we met last Wednesday for parks, and I thought you had said that we got an additional $7,000 from Loom, but Brian, you said 3, so is it 3 or 7?
So originally, Loom had pledged $4,000, and then in discussions with me, they allocated an additional $3,000.
Okay.
So the original allocation was $4,000,
Okay.
and then they pledged another $3,000.
So that we should
So
have
we
though
had
an
a total of
additional
7.
7 on top of.
That's correct.
Okay. And then we did our parks walkthrough this Sunday, kind of made mention of things that we'd like to fix or upgrade. And then we will have the annual park cleaning at Waterworks this year at on April 20th at 8 a.m. If anybody would like to join us, got some volunteers, and you don't necessarily have to stay there all day. If you have an hour or two to spare. And that's about it from parks. And ethics hasn't met, and I don't think I've ever met for court ordinance and codes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kyer. Mr. Kinnaman.
Planning Commission met for the first time this year and reviewed a site plan for the quadplex at Oakwood Street and approved that project. And we have started working on the capital improvement plan. Question as well. I haven't seen anything for the car show yet. Has there been any?
No, I spoke with Mr. Alsop earlier this week, and he said he has not been able to come in and file it for various reasons. He's going to come in next week
Okay,
and file a request for the car show.
so it'll be on the May one.
It will, with a proposed start date in June.
Oh, okay.
So it won't start.
Won't start in May. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's all.
President Pro Tem Brandon.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Our first Sister City Committee meeting will be April 16th at 6 p.m. And just an update on the library. They are now in position to make a decision regarding improvements to the building and the collection. And at our next meeting, our attorney's firm will be presenting on becoming a district library. So that is hopefully in the works. And that is all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Mr. Perkins.
HTC has not met, and happy spring, everyone. That's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Musgrave.
Nothing at all to report. No meetings held.
The Cityhood Committee met on Wednesday, what was it, the 3rd? It was last Wednesday. And we heard an excellent presentation from the MML, the Michigan Municipal League, and was able to gather some very good information and have some of our questions answered. And that is all that I have to report. Public hearing, Clean Water State Revolving Fund and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. Mr. Walker, would you like to introduce this?
Don't we have to make a
Don't we
motion?
need a motion?
We have to make a motion.
I was asking if he would like to introduce it before we open the public hearing.
So the topic of the meeting, or the public hearing, is just exactly what you stated. We have with us tonight Mr. Doug Scott from Road Professional Services, who will present information on the project and possible funding. And it all corresponds to new business items 1 and 2.
Very good. Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to enter into public hearing.
I'll make that motion to enter into public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Brandon, support by Kinnaman to enter into public hearing. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. We enter into public hearing at 6:22. Yes.
First of all, I want to apologize to village council for being late. For some reason, I had it in 7 o'clock, so I apologize for being tardy on that. But as Mr. Walker mentioned, tonight is basically to discuss the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund application. If you recall last year about this time, we did something very similar, and
Let's move this so you can't see it. The sun's behind this.
Order, please. Mr. Love, absolutely not. Have a seat, please.
I'd like to at least
Order.
see it.
That is the second time.
But last year, the village contracted with Rowe to go ahead and prepare a application for both the Clean Water and the Drinking Water State Revolving Funds. We turned those in, and unfortunately, with the scoring, we didn't score high enough to qualify for funding on that. And as part of that program, basically, it's a 2-year program, so you're able to reapply. And so what you're going to see from us tonight is pretty much the same, except for we've added a few things that we think will hopefully score us a little higher. So there's a couple aspects that we have added in there that hopefully will get a few more points. And again, hopefully this year will get us closer to getting some grant funding and stuff. This program is administered through the state of Michigan. It's uses both federal and state dollars there, and we're going to tonight talk about both the drinking water and the clean water, which is the sanitary side of it and stuff on that. And this is Eagle's funding source for projects for communities. It includes both grants, low interest loans, and grants and low interest loans. And the low interest loans would be on a 30-year basis on that. So, and all of the funds are awarded based on competitive scoring for things as far as, the type of project, needs of the community. The Village of Holly is considered a overburdened community, so you will get points for that. But then also, like environmental issues, if you have specifics, if you have violations and stuff like that, which fortunately the village does not, but unfortunately, if you did, you would get more points on that. So that's part of the reason you didn't score.
Darn,
last
we're
year.
too good.
So it's, yeah, unfortunately, the communities that are proactive and take care of their facilities don't get those additional points for being in a crisis, essentially, on that. So, applying for the funding does not obligate you to taking the funding. For instance, if you were awarded a loan instead of a grant, you still have the option to turn that down and stuff. So don't think that, some of the numbers are fairly high. If you remember last year as far as the total dollar amounts, it's not going to put the village on the hook for, you have to take this money on that. And these dollars are for the 2025 fiscal year on that. Basically, they would be awarded this fall and then be able to start design, everything designed through the winter, get your project ready, bid it in the spring, and then bid it in early spring and be ready to start in the summer on that. So as far as the two different projects, we have the drinking water, which is the water system, and the clean water. I have the clean water, which is the sanitary, up first there. And basically, I will just kind of walk through the scope of the project on there. If you recall, the village is an asset management plan several years ago, and that plan was used to identify these projects as well as information from DPW and other staff within the village there. So the first part that we have on there is to basically doing replacements of the rotating biological contractors at the wastewater plant. That's part of your treatment process there as far as it's one of the later parts of the treatment at the wastewater plant. And those are basically to the point where the staff is having difficulty finding parts and everything for that. They're starting to have more problems with that, and those are kind of the outdated treatment there. They need to be replaced with like a membrane system and stuff like that. So that would be one of the primary parts of this project. And then also, you're probably aware that the village refurbished the north primary clarifier last year. That was one of the projects that you did. This project would also refurbish the south primary clarifier, and that's so basically similar to what you did last year, but it would be covered under this project here as well. And then there's 3 different streets that we basically were looking at replacing the sanitary sewer in. The first is North Street from basically Saginaw Street to Sherwood Street, and then Sherman Street from East Street to Broad Street, and finally College Street from Maple to Sherman Street on that. So those would have the sanitary sewer completely replaced, and when we get to the water, you're going to see a very similar area that we'd be doing the water and that as well. So basically completely redoing the water and sewer in those streets, and as well as redoing the streets as part of that, because the sanitary is located within the streets and stuff on that as well. And finally,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
As captivated as the audience is with those pictures, half of the council cannot see it. And since we're the ones that need to vote,
Yep, okay, sure.
thank you so much.
All right, so again, North Street from Saginaw to Sherwood, and then basically Sherman from East Street down to Broad Street, and then College Street from Maple to Sherman Street on that. And then obviously the work up at the wastewater treatment plant there. So sorry about that. I was going ahead. Finally, the other areas that we would be looking at is providing standby generators at 3 of your lift stations, which would be the Quick Road Station, the Stonebridge Street Station, and the Apollo Lift Station, and then also providing a portable generator for the remaining stations on that. Well, basically, you have a existing, I think you have 1 or 2, right? Two right now, but basically giving you, basically replacing one of those and giving you one so that you can have that, be able to provide the electrical services and benefit power to the other. So, and then lastly, with the asset management plan, we were able to televise approximately, probably about 40% of your sewer as part of that. The remaining wasn't able to be televised due to budget constraints. So the last portion of this would actually complete the rest of that televising work. And so all of that comes to an estimated total of $15.2 million. And that would be over a 30-year rate on that. And assuming, just worst case scenario for you, assuming that no grants were obtained and you did that through the loan process only, that would equate to basically an increase in your sewer rates of $14 a month, approximately there. So for basically the next 30 years on that. So that's an overview of the clean water and sanitary portion. If you'd like, we can jump right into the water, or if there's any questions that you can answer while we're still talking on the sanitary. So to you guys.
Would you mind if I asked a question now, Mr. President? Thank you. Can I ask, what is the lifespan of the project with reasonable maintenance?
With reasonable maintenance, I mean, if replacing the sanitary sewer pipe on that, you should get at least 50 years. Probably more than that, because not with current or modern materials with plastic and stuff. I mean, that pipe should last at least 50, probably 70 years at that point on that. As far as the work at the wastewater plant, the membrane filters and stuff, you do have to replace the membranes occasionally and stuff on that. Usually they have about a 20-year lifespan on that. But again, that's only a portion of that project, and it's just replacing the membranes. So.
Thank you.
If we do get these grants, how much would that offset this $15.2 million?
Well, if you've got, depending on what percentage grant, we've seen them go anywhere from, most of their grants are 50%, so we have 50-50 split on that. We have seen them go as high as 75%. That's not very often unless you're significantly overburdened and, like I said, about ready to close your system down. So,
Any other questions or discussion from council desired before we move on?
okay. Then we can switch to the drinking water side of it. Again, similar project. I know. Switch papers here. Again, pretty much the same program, just on the water side. So I won't bore you with the details of that. Our scope of work would be basically, and again, scope of work was identified based on the latest water reliability study, but also, which included your capital improvement plan in there, but also trying to match some of the water main replacements with the sanitary, kind of looking at some of your worst roads, so it's going to be the same areas there as far as the water main replacement. But this project would include replacement of the filter media at the water treatment plant. I think you're probably aware that we have 6 sand filter vessels that filter out the iron and arsenic and stuff out of your water there. The media typically has about a 20-year life cycle in there, and those were 2006. Yeah, 2006 is when those were installed. And so you're approaching that design line. And then also doing some improvements to the backwash holding tank there at at the water plant, which is where, when we backwash those filters, the discharge water goes into that tank, and it allows the iron and arsenic to settle out. And so basically doing some improvements to that so that we're able to keep more of that arsenic from heading down to your wastewater plant at that point. And so those two pieces were about $1 million at the plant there. And then looking at the water main replacement, again, same streets as the sewer was, North Street from Saginaw to Sherwood, and then Sherman Street from Elm to Broad, and then College Street from Maple to Sherman. And then if you see on the drawing here, we've got this basically square area there. That's what we're referring to as the lead service lead target area. If we know there's, or we suspect there are at least some lead service leads out there and stuff, and part of this project would basically be going and looking for those, basically digging up some leads and basically determining whether or not they are lead, and if they are lead, basically replacing them at that point. And so this is the area, based on the age of the infrastructure and stuff, that the village suspects that if there are any lead service leads, that they would be in that area. So there's about $1 million allocated for that work in the project as well. And then finally, what we added this year is demolishing the elevated storage tank that's at the police department there, because it basically that more looks than anything, I guess, at this point. It is still full of water to keep it in service, but
we're looking at demolishing it, just taking it out of service.
okay, yeah, okay. So, and then also installing a standby generator at the Quick Road water tower site there, so that basically communications can be maintained and stuff on that. The tank itself doesn't require power. Yeah.
Just like to repeat for anyone who may be watching online,
Okay.
Mr. Clausen's correction there, that we are considering taking the old water tower out of service, not demolishing. Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. So, all right. And yes, so the final piece of that would be installing a generator at the Quick Road elevated storage tank there. So the overall cost of those improvements ends up at about $11.2 million. And that works out over that 30-year period with if there were no grants and just a low interest loan to about $8.60 a month on an increase. So one thing to just point out to council as well is that those are worst case scenarios as far as dollar amounts. We put it together because there's no guarantee that if you get the clean water grant, that you're gonna get the drinking water grant. So the dollars that are estimated there actually include both of the projects include replacing the roadway. So if you're fortunate enough to get both of them together, those dollars would decrease by the cost of the road repairs on that. So, which are fairly significant dollars at that point. So, but again, we put it together so that if you only got one, the cost of replacing the road would be included in that. So questions regarding the drinking water?
Yes, please.
All right.
So the total project cost for the two projects would work out to approximately $23 a month. Was that per household?
Correct, yes.
And this is paid for through our water enterprise?
Yes.
So this isn't something we need a millage for, we just, if we vote yes, it goes.
Yes, and I would just say this, while we've had previous discussions on the current water and sewer bonds reaching maturity and being paid off, certainly this would be part of that. So you won't see the continuance of the $37.05 current rate. But, you know, you may have a combination, we don't know what the exact figure will be. And we'll have some more discussions about the water and sewer bond maturing rate.
As the other one's paid off and this picks up,
Uh,
there won't be a big difference as the other one leaves off and this one picks up, is what you're saying?
That is a possibility, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion desired from council?
Will this make the quality of our water any better?
As far as the quality of the water, again, the treatment would be the same, just new media. So from that standpoint, as that media wears out, you begin to see a little bit more iron pass through and stuff like that. However, right now, that just means that they have to backwash a little bit more frequent. So you probably would not notice a real change in the water quality. Now, as far as reliability and stuff on that, I mean, this should prevent any future water main breaks and stuff like that, which I know on North Street have been several instances and stuff like that. So that obviously it's geared to eliminate those type of service issues as well.
So in relation to that question then, is there something that could be added into this that enhances the quality
When you
or
say
improves?
quality,
Yeah.
The hardness of our water is caused from calcium.
Right,
So we recommend it's less expensive overall for a homeowner to install a water softener system than for the village as a whole to install a softening system and have that maintenance cost and long-term maintenance involved with that and upkeep. So we recommend that probably between $300 and $500 for a homeowner and the cost of salt depending on usage to install that or a whole house filter. It would be less expensive overall in the long run for the village and its residents to have that type of softening and a whole system softening system to remove the calcium. That's the majority of our complaints come from calcium.
right.
The smell of the water, if you get a sulfur smell, is probably from your hot water tank has a adenoid in it that's right out and that causes the sulfur.
Which oftentimes happens with
Because
calcification.
of calcification.
Right.
So it's a 1-2 punch there, but even an inexpensive whole house filter system would be more economic for the homeowner than adding a cost to the village for a whole system softener.
Which that whole village system would be passed on to the rate costs,
Right.
which would be more significant than having your own unit in your home,
Correct.
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Because at that point, you're treating every gallon, not just the drinking portion of it as well.
So if
Yeah.
we were to have a fire or we do hydrant flushing, those kinds of things, you're treating that water that nobody's going
Oh,
to
sure.
use for mass or anything like that.
And the water you use through your spigot for outside, and
Correct.
that doesn't need to have all of that done.
Correct.
That's helpful. Hopefully people caught that too, because that's one of the huge questions that we keep getting. Yeah.
And just as a reminder for the public, the staff agrees that the need is evident.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, if you look at just the age of the system, I mean, we have lots of failures right now with the water and sewer mains because of their age. And so it's just going to continue to get worse unless addressed.
The sewer on North Street was the original combination sewer when the village first incorporated. The ran right out down North Street right to the river, so it's old clay tile. We had to do an emergency repair there last year. And it's a 30-inch tile, so we don't need something that big, so we'll be able to downsize it. And also do the road repairs that are needed on that street and improve the drainage on that street with storm repairs.
And so you said if we remember from last year, this is pretty much the same projects. What are you doing differently to hopefully get us
So-
a higher approval.
So the things that we've added in there, what we've been told by Eagle is that the more components of the system that you touch, gets you more points on that.
Okay.
So we've added in the generators at the lift stations. On the sewer side, we've added in the clarifier refurbishment in there to try and get something at the plant, something at the lift stations. We already had the collection portion, so that's what we've added in for the sewer. On the water side, again, we hadn't touched any tankage, so we're looking at doing the work at the police station tank, and then also adding a generator there as well. So those are things that should get you some additional points as far as how many, and but at least it makes it. Eagle wants to see that you're looking at the whole system on that. And I guess, last year I think we probably focused maybe a little too much just on the collection and the distribution side of it, so.
Good, thank you.
Anything else from council before we open it up to the public?
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any public comment desired on this as part of this hearing? Mr. Shield, I believe, was first.
Ryan Shield, 320 LeGrand Street, Holly, Michigan. I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Ms. Brandon was asking about the payment. Is it going to be the same, what we're going to pay for it right at the current structure, or is it going to, payment going to change, or not?
So currently, the base rate that's being charged is $37.05 per household per month. The new amount, if approved, will be totally dependent upon how much grant money is received and what the total end cost of the system is. So it doesn't appear, based from the numbers that Mr. Scott and staff has looked at, that it will be close to the $37.05. Should be somewhere between $20 and $25, just based upon the numbers that were presented tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Mr. Love?
Well, it was real easy to follow that, John Love, it was very easy to follow that presentation because you all got some kind of handout, but we don't want to hand out anything, so people know too much. That's kind of unsatisfactory for something of this magnitude. The other thing that is very troubling is the way this thing is being financed. They're going to charge everybody so much money a month, not based on usage. Schools are going to pay the same amount as some widow and orphan's house. That's unsatisfactory. It should be based on usage. If you have 50,000 gallons, you pay that percentage versus somebody who uses 10 gallons. That's unsatisfactory. It's also a violation of the Supreme Court case. It said you cannot charge only on usage, not add these other things on at fixed amounts. So that's what's taking place. And that's unsatisfactory. The widow and orphan should not pay the same amount as the school system does. The other thing they talked about is the tower. Oh, we're going to take the tower out of service? I was here when they planned on taking the tower out of service before. Then they ended up refurbishing it. I talked to the police chief, not the police chief, the fire chief, and he said that if that tower had not had water in it, the fire downtown would have been out of control, unable to be extinguished. So if you take that out of service for the convenience of something, you're jeopardizing the entire theme and being of the township historic district. So that's unsatisfactory. Those are just some of what I've gathered from this flawed presentation. No handouts, no nothing. Did you get a handout? I don't know what you got. But what I could hardly read this chart he's got here. It's facing you. That isn't for a public hearing. That's unsatisfactory.
Thank you, sir. Could we have some clarification from staff? And I'll just lightly rephrase Mr. Love's question. Is it the case that the Holly area schools would pay the same flat rate for this service as, say, a household of 4 in the village?
They're billed on their usage. The rate is figured on the number of customers. So if Holly area schools has a meter, their meters are commercial sized meters versus a 3/4 inch residential meter. They pay more on the tap-in fee, so they're paying up front to maintain the system more than a residential tap-in fee is $7,000. The new tap-in fee for the new middle school is in excess of $100,000. So they are paying more up front to maintain the system. If they use, they're paying the same rate, but if they use, the rule of thumb is 1,000 gallons per person. So Mr. Love talked about a widow or orphans. If there's 3 people in the house, their average should be 3,000 gallons. It's 1,000 gallons per month, and there's 300 students in a building. Their bill is going to be higher because they're going to be using more water. So,
Yeah.
But the bond is
No.
the bond is the issue, not the rate.
So let me go back and explain a little bit. The numbers I threw out tonight would be the average cost. I mean, what we don't know if one house uses 5,000 gallons a month or 20,000 gallons a month. So we look at it as a total number of users and divide that cost up. So that would, it's an estimated average cost on that. So again,
and the way the village bills is we have a fixed rate, which is our base fee, because we have a cost, the village incurs a cost before anybody turns on their spigot or flushes the toilet. Once they turn that spigot on, that's a variable cost. That is your commodity rate. That's what we raise every year based on that, because the commodity rate changes. Just like your electrical bill changes, your cell phone bill changes, and that's what people pay more for. The fixed rate is the same because the cost to operate the system is the same. So that is split equally among all the users. The commodity rate, which is changes, is when you use more water, you pay more. When you use less water, you pay less. And clarification on the water tower, we have 3 water towers and 2.2 square miles. We have a 500,000 gallon tank up on Quick Road, and we have a 300,000 gallon tank at DPW. The police department is 80,000 gallons. But we use 3 million gallons of water in a day and a half to fight that fire downtown. 80,000 gallons is not going to make a difference.
Thank you very much for the clarification. It's appreciated. Is there anyone else for public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Amy, A-M-Y, last name is Ray, R-A-Y, at 108 College Street. And I'm just looking for confirmation and also a request in the form of 2 questions. This is regarding the new village offices involving parking and paving. This
Ye-
is not this is, I thought this was final public comment, or is this toward the water?
This is this is the. I'm sorry, we've done things in a slightly unusual order this evening, so I can understand where you'd be confused. But yes, this is the public hearing on the clean water and drinking water.
Okay, and so is the final public comment toward the end?
We have one public comment section on items not on the agenda, and we have done that.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I was here, I just heard that it was tabled.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, let me clarify.
Yes, certainly.
Amy, I think you came in a little bit after the meeting started, if I remember right,
Yes, like 4 minutes.
and we might have already been done with public comment by then. It's held in the very beginning, right after roll call.
Okay, I heard that it was tabled, so I don't know if that was.
That happened after our public comment when we went to open our presentation.
It's a public hearing that was.
Right. The
public-
public hearing on clean water and drinking water state revolving funds.
Or maybe
was
you were here for
tabled.
public comment and you just missed your opportunity to come up. That's when you can speak on non-agenda items.
Okay, I feel like I great citizen of this community. I just want 4 minutes, and it's very, very simple, so I would like to proceed. If you guys want to vote on that.
Would you like to recommend emailing staff or emailing?
I was going to, yeah, thank you, yeah. Could I ask you please to email staff
Yes.
with your question and your request? And then staff, would you please mind just
We will.
CCing myself so that I'm looped in on that?
Okay, perfect.
Is that satisfactory?
Yeah, what's the email address?
So you can just address it to Jay Walker
Oh.
at hollywillage.org.
Or I really appreciate that, because that was
Certainly.
actually part of the question is this something that I can talk about, or should I just call the office? I didn't know,
Okay.
so. Okay, cool, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you for your patience with us. Is there anyone else for public comment with regard to clean water or drinking water state revolving funds? All right. If there is nothing else from council on this, I will entertain a motion to leave public hearing.
I'll make the motion to close public hearing.
Support.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Musgrave to close public hearing. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Brandon,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Proceeding to item number 1, under new business, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-014, adopting a final project planning document for water system improvements and designating an authorized representative. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make the motion that we approve Resolution 2024-014, adopting a final project planning document for water system improvements and designating Jerry Walker as authorized representative.
No second.
All right. Motion by Musgrave, support by Perkins to approve the resolution. Is there any further council discussion desired on this item?
Yes. We spoke a bit on the additional mini projects to help garner points, to help us perhaps get grants or loans. And if no grants or loans are granted to us, can we minimize some of the cost with any of these other smaller projects if they were to be found not as completely necessary as the rest? Is that something we should be considering?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always separate some of the projects out if you can identify funding for them. I mean, and one of the things that we'll be looking at in the future, discussions with council is once the current water and sewer bonds are completely paid off, you know, do you want to allocate additional bonds which could pay for projects such as this? I mean, so, you know, it's all about funding. So, you know what, do we pay from this, or do we pay in another way? And bonding could be another option. It's not mandatory, but
Okay.
it could be an option. What is mandatory, though, is doing something.
Mhm.
Doing nothing is not an option.
So if we were to approve business items 1 and 2, we don't get any grants, and then when it's time to begin work, we don't have to necessarily take the tower out of service, we don't have to get a generator.
No, you don't have to. I
Okay.
mean, some of those things, I mean, again, will be recommended and are good ideas.
They'll still be up for review.
But they'll be up for review and
Perfect.
discussion.
I believe we would still have to
But we could study
have
them more in depth.
presentations to
Yeah.
us to actually make the project. This
Perfect, that
this
we-
is only to
Put
give
the
them
plan together.
permission to go seek money for us. for the
Perfect, because then we
project.
can give, due thought to Mr. Love's comments on the tower if it were necessary. So saying yes right now doesn't mean we're just going to take the tower out of service, and that's all I
No,
really
that's
wanted
true.
to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I would just point out too, that actually, Mr. Scott's presentation is included in the council packet, which is public information, which anybody is privy to.
Of course.
So, okay, just for clarification.
Thank you for reminding everyone of that.
Is there any further discussion desired from council? All right. Is there any public comment desired on this item before we proceed to vote? All right. In that case, Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 2, under new business, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-015, adopting a final project planning document for wastewater system improvements and designating an authorized representative. What is the pleasure of council?
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution 2024-015, adopting the final project planning document for wastewater system improvements and designating Jerry Walker once again as authorized representative.
Second.
Support. April got it.
Motion by Kinnaman, support by Brandon to approve the resolution. Is there any council comment desired on this item? Council discussion, excuse me. Is there any
We all know
public
it needs to
comment
be done.
desired on this item?
It's overdue.
Hearing none, seeing none. Ms. Bigger, roll call vote, please.
Kyer,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Musgrave.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Delaney.
Yes. Motion carries. Is there anything else at all from either council or from staff? Very good, very good. Meeting is
Thank you to
adjourned
staff
at
for-
7:01. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Thank you to staff for fielding all those questions today.
Did you call us adjourned?
Yes.
Right. Well, that's